My name is Antoinette Chanel. Welcome to my channel where I watch the world, and today I want to talk about Prince Andrew. Not gossip, not drama, but as a case study. Because what happened to him isn't just about one man, it's about power and patriarchy and entitlement and the systems that protect these men until they can't anymore. This is not about shock value, this is about accountability that often comes way too late if it comes at all. Prince Andrew grew up inside one of the most insulated institutions on this earth. Royalty does not just grant you wealth, it gives you freedom from consequence. And when you live your entire life buffered by all of this power and status, then you can very easily start to believe that the rules are for other people, not for you. And this is really just patriarchy at its greatest form, when men believe that they are not susceptible to the same rules as everyone else, or that they think that it's their right to have power over other people. That's patriarchy at its most refined, when power convinces men that they are untouchable. People tried to characterize Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein as just guilt by association. But powerful men don't accidentally start to orbit known abusers. Epstein wasn't just Andrew's friend, he was a facilitator. He provided access, secrecy, and an expectation that any consequences could be managed. Patriarchy thrives on silence. It thrives in rooms where men believe that their status shields them from consequences or accountability. That BBC interview, that wasn't just bad PR. It was a moment the illusion collapsed. He didn't sound accountable, he sounded inconvenienced. He centered himself. He minimized harm. He spoke like someone who had never been forced to reckon with the impact of his actions. And according to the firm, the interview did not destroy him, but rather just exposed him. For a long time, the Monarchy followed one of the oldest patriarchy playbooks, which is to delay, deflect, and diminish. Reduce visibility, avoid accountability, reframe it as a PR issue rather than a moral one. But the world changed. What used to disappear quietly now lingers publicly. Andrew didn't fall quickly because patriarchy does not release power easily. He fell because the institution ran out of excuses for his dumbass. This story isn't about hating the monarchy. This isn't about spectacle. It's about recognizing how systems protect men at the expense of women and girls. Prince Andrew didn't fall because the system suddenly grew a conscience. He fell because the optics became indefensible. I mean, it becomes pretty damning when one of your most high-profile victims has a picture of you and her from years ago. It's very clear to see it's not an AI photo. That was damning evidence, and there was nothing that Andrew could say to make that go away. And this is the truth that patriarchy does not want examined. They don't want us to slowly, piece by piece, brick by brick, start dismantling these systems that help to protect and keep these types of men in power. When powerful men fall, people everywhere will ask, what happened? How was this allowed to happen? Truthfully, the question we should be asking is, how long was this allowed to happen? Prince Andrew is not an anomaly. He is a product of entitlement without accountability and of institutions that value reputation over humanity. What is accountability? Is it a press conference? Is it a resignation? Is it a lawsuit that drags on for years while life goes on as usual? Or is accountability supposed to mean that when someone's actions are tied to real harm, there are consequences that follow them all the way to the top? Because in the United States, we are living through a moment that forces the question. A man whose words and behavior were linked by many lawmakers, investigators, and citizens to the January 6th attack on the Capitol, an event that left people dead and hundreds of officers injured, was later able to run for president again and return to office. Some Americans see that as vindication. Others see it as the opposite of accountability. But whichever side you land on, the deeper issue is this. What does accountability actually require from people who hold enormous power? If consequences never arrive, or arrive only for the less connected, then what we are really protecting is not justice. We are protecting hierarchy. When consequences stall at the top, we have to ask why. Why do some people fall from grace while others seem permanently cushioned from impact? Why do investigations circle for years without landing anywhere meaningful? Why are victims asked for endless proof while powerful men are granted endless benefit of the doubt?
For what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi.
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can respond.
That's not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer. So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I'm reclaiming my time, and when I reclaim my time,
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman has reclaimed her time.
I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
At some point, it stops looking accidental. It starts looking structural. Because this is not just about one politician, one party, or one moment in history. It is about a long-standing arrangement in which proximity to power can function like a kind of insurance policy. The higher you climb, the softer the landing. And that arrangement has a name people are often uncomfortable saying out loud. Patriarchy. Not patriarchy as a slogan or as a social media insult, but patriarchy as a system that concentrates authority in the hands of men, protects their reputations as assets, and treats threats to those reputations as crises to be managed rather than truths to be confronted. In that system, preserving the status of the powerful becomes more urgent than repairing the lives of the harmed. So when we talk about Jeffrey Epstein, we are not just talking about one predator. We are talking about an ecosystem. And ecosystems don't survive by accident. They survive because institutions, traditions, public relations strategies, and loyal defenders work together to keep the structure intact. Which brings us back to the royal family. Because before we ever started arguing about American accountability, we already watched a live case study of what institutional protection looks like. For years, Prince Andrew's proximity to Jeffrey Epstein raised alarms. For years, those alarms were absorbed, softened, and managed. Interviews were negotiated. Appearances were calibrated. Language was cautious. The priority often appeared to be the preservation of the crown, not the comfort of the people asking painful questions. The machine moved into action. And here's the unfathomable part. Many of the people who front that machine today, figures like William and Catherine, are widely viewed as modern, compassionate, even stabilizing. They photograph beautifully. They champion mental health. They present the image of renewal. But institutions are bigger than personalities. No matter how likable an individual may seem, they are still operating inside a structure that historically closes ranks when scandal threatens the brand. The monarchy's first reflex has rarely been radical transparency. It has been containment. Contain the damage, protect the institution, endure the news cycle. From that perspective, shielding Andrew for as long as possible was not an aberration. It was consistent with how powerful systems tend to behave when one of their own becomes a liability. And once you see it there, it becomes harder not to recognize similar reflexes elsewhere. From Andrew and his royal shield to the current US administration and the figures within it who often appear aligned with the same centers of influence, we keep running into a familiar problem. The quiet, slippery way patriarchy redistributes risk. Upward, protection. Outward, damage. And that damage lands on women, on children, and yes, on ordinary men who will never receive the benefit of institutional cover. It helps explain why the entire spectacle around the Epstein files has unfolded the way that it has. Transparency is promised, disclosure is teased, drips of information appear, but the full architecture of responsibility always seems just out of reach. Because when networks of wealth, politics, and reputation overlap, exposure is never simple. Too many alliances are at stake. Too many careers are intertwined. Too many people have something to lose if sunlight becomes total. So instead, the public is often given theater. Highly visible gestures, carefully staged moments of relatability, culture war distractions loud enough to dominate the headlines, a celebrity photo op here, an outrage cycle there, a public scolding of critics who are told they are the real problem for noticing the contradictions. And while everyone argues about the performance, the underlying question remains stubbornly unanswered. Who is actually accountable? Not symbolically, not rhetorically, but materially. Who loses power? Who faces legal jeopardy? Who is removed from influence? Until those answers become clear and consistent, people will continue to suspect that the system protects itself first. And once that public believes that, trust erodes fast.